everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Research Works podcast. We're here at EACD, Galway, Ireland 2026. It is relatively wet outside, but I'm very grateful to be inside in the warmth, having these great conversations with researchers that are presenting here at this conference, and it represents people from all over the world. And the guest I have with me today is kind of a person of the world. Welcome to the podcast. Make sure I say your name properly. Carolina Fiorni R Silva.
Perfect.
Perfect, really?
Yes, thank you.
You're always too nice. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, I said you're a person of the world. Give everyone a bit of a understanding of your background.
So I am a Brazilian researcher, and I did my PhD in Brazil. And I also did a part of my PhD in Italy with Professor Giuseppina Isgandura, that I am very grateful, and it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
So, and also my grandmother was Italian, so I have a love for Italy and for Italian language.
Yes. And you're working now in Germany.
Yes, exactly. And now I am in Germany, and I am also learning German, but it's quite difficult for Portuguese speakers because the pronunciation is
very different, isn't it?
Yes.
I was going to ask you then, so how many languages can you speak? So you obviously speak Portuguese, English. Do you speak Italian?
No, I can understand a bit, but not...
Fantastic. Okay, and then now you're learning German.
Yes.
Very talented, very talented. Well, welcome to the podcast. I'm fortunate that you speak so, it must be quite challenging to speak so many different languages at conferences, hey, especially when your mother tongue is Portuguese. I think it's amazing. So thank you for being able to speak with me in English. Now, you presented at this conference about a piece of work that I was really curious about, hence me reaching out to you. It's titled, "Why Do Families Not Participate in Free Parent Education Programs? A Cross-Sectional Population-Based Study of Preschoolers." It's really interesting because I think it resonates. I've seen this before. You want to offer these programs for families and you might become disappointed about maybe the turnout sometimes. Love to delve into this with you. What brought you to this subject in the first place?
This topic was also new for me in Germany, I would say, because during my PhD, also with Giusy, I worked with infants, and we studied the motor development of infants exposed to disadvantageous health determinants in Brazil. So, for example, infants exposed to low socioeconomic status or low maternal education and so on. And then when I moved to Germany, my supervisor said, "Oh, Carolina, you have this expertise in health determinants and low socioeconomic status. I would be very interested to know why this group of people are not participating in these programs that are made for supporting positive parental practicing, for example, to the parents not to be too aggressive or so on."
Yeah.
So, and then I said, okay, let's go. And then we analyzed it. They also offered more programs in German, like to do some workshops and how to stimulate the babies and so on.
Sure.
Yes, I answered your question.
Yes, you did. So, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? So this is all in Dusseldorf in Germany. And so from my understanding, there's all these programs that are being provided, and just wanting to understand what are some of the health determinants, I suppose, from your background. Now, what kind of programs are being offered more specifically? Are they mostly directed at parents, like supporting education and understanding? Is that what that is all about?
Yes, exactly. And so these programs are offered by the government of Dusseldorf. And they do the advertisement on the website of the mayor of Dusseldorf, and also at schools and so on.
Yeah.
But the one challenge that we observed in these programs is that they are always offered in German, and then families with immigration background answered, for example, in our questionnaire that they could not join because they were all offered in German. So would be nice maybe now to work with my supervisor and the group to try to translate these programs or to invite more people from the immigration communities to do the programs and to offer the programs so that we could engage more people.
So that's one really important factor. How many participants were actually involved in this particular study? How big was your sample that you looked at?
So it's something very interesting in Germany. After I talked with people here in the Congress, and I saw that it's also common in other countries.
Yeah.
But for me, it was new because we don't have in Brazil. And this is the school entrance examination. So this is one mandatory medical examination that all children do. Perform before starting at school.
Right.
And in Brazil we don't have. So for me it was really interesting because sometimes we will discover that the children need glasses only at a high school, for example, or if the child needs a chair, adapted chair for scoliosis, or a physiotherapist, a psychological therapist, and so on, they can provide this support so that the child can start properly at school.
Wow.
So and then we went to this school entrance examination and applied this questionnaire in the waiting room with the parents. And then we also translated, of course, the questionnaire in 6 languages so that we could understand really.
Okay, so that's why your numbers are so big. You've got 6,480 families in your abstract. So there was a lot of people that were involved, all of them coming into these parent education programs, and you're asking them the questions about why, what are the factors influencing their involvement in coming to these programs? Really interesting. So that's a huge number. Okay, so what were your main findings? You've talked a little bit about language being a barrier. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me more about the non-attendance? How high was the rate of attendance, maybe is probably the best way to say?
I don't know the numbers by heart now, but yes, in terms of the people exposed to disadvantaged health determinants, it was low. I think I would say 20% maybe.
Right.
Yes, but we need to work to engage more then, or to maybe be to go in the communities, and I would say that would be nice if they could trust more in the system, in the programs, because...
So there's a bit of a trust, like the relationship with health.
Yes, exactly. Because also we applied this questionnaire with people exposed to disadvantageous health determinants that participated in the program, and they rated that the program was helpful and useful. So,
so once they did go, they found that it was helpful.
Yes, exactly. So it would be very nice to have more people there from these groups.
Yeah, sure. So from what you were saying there was obviously the language was a barrier based on migration background. Was there any other sort of influencing factors? Because I imagine, when you're scheduling these parent programs, there's usually a set date and a time. Was that a factor? Does that need to be thought of more comprehensively for people to attend?
Yeah, so we gave in this questionnaire some options that the parents could tick some barriers, and the most common barriers that they answered, they ticket, was no interested, that we would like to explore more, why they don't have interested in the programs.
Just no interest, that was the comment.
Yes, I mean no interest, and they didn't give more details about it. So it would be nice to understand how if they don't feel comfortable in these programs, and how they feel, why they don't have interested. And also the second most barrier was the time did not fit to them, because most of them work a lot, and the programs are also offered during the commercial time, the most part of them, so it would be nice maybe to offer it in more alternative and flexible times.
And was everything done in person, or were they online options? Was that something that came up at all?
This is a very interesting question that we discussed a lot in our group, because Germany is working in the digitalization, and yes, it's going step by step. But
Sure.
before the pandemic, these programs were offered only in face-to-face, and then now after the pandemic, they are also offering in digital.
Sure.
And we assessed only these data are only about the programs in face-to-face.
Okay.
And would be nice to see now if to make these programs digitalized, or now you can do like a video conference with them.
Yeah.
If it improved the access to this.
And it has to suit the infrastructure of the context that you're in as well, doesn't it? Not all online programs will work, but it'll be interesting to see how that lines up. So what were the main conclusions from your study, and where to from here?
I would say that even though we sell the idea that the programs are universal, free of charge, and accessible for everybody, actually no. So maybe we need to be always careful to try to think about diversity, or to think about the different contextual factors that the families could have, and then we could engage with them in this, trying to
Try to meet people where they're at, really, isn't it?
Yes, true.
Yeah. And it's such an interesting factor, because I think it's so right. You know, sometimes you go, okay, it's free, we're making it available. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean people will engage. And I actually just think in this digital world that we live in, it's really hard to get people's attention. You know, there are so many things. I remember hearing, I love going to the movies, and I love movies. Follow me here. This is related. And I remember hearing some actors say, well, you know, now that people are sort of watching things online at home and streaming, it is even more difficult to keep their attention. So actors are sort of saying you have to work really hard to keep people's attention, because even when you're watching a movie or TV show, people are still on their phones.
Yes, true.
And I think I've done that before as well. So even when you're trying to bring something forward in a medium that makes sense, keeping people's attention, or even just grabbing their attention in the first place, I think as researchers and clinicians, we need to almost learn from, I know marketing always sounds like a bad word, but that's what it is. It's how do we bring forward an idea in a way that's contemporary and meets people to kind of go, actually, this is really interesting. What a shame for people to say it's not interesting. But when people go, they go, oh, this is really good. So there is a disconnect there about how we can connect and bring people into it. There's a marketing issue, isn't there?
Yes, true. And also, I think that it's one challenge for the world, because I think that people don't like to read big emails anymore, or to see big videos, big movies. Even the quality is good, they don't like...
Well, TikTok, it's 15 seconds. How do you engage and get the message in, in that time? It's really difficult.
There is also one movie, Minecraft, that it's like explosion of stimulus for children. And to be honest, I don't think that it's too healthy, this quantity of stimulation.
That's
and
right.
the fast.
Yeah. Everything's fast. I think this relates to one of the biggest YouTubers, well, actually the biggest YouTube in the world is Mr. Beast. And he has talked very well about how he constructs his videos for the hundreds of millions of people that subscribe to him. And all of his clips are very fast. They're like 2 seconds on one scene, and it's to the next. And if you think about that, if we're constructing videos on one person for a period of time, as longer than 2 seconds, people are bored because they're just used to this high pace, information coming at them. So, I think it's really interesting to talk about this, because again, it's free. We want to get this information out there. And the last thing we want is for funders to go, hey, no one's come. Let's not run these programs anymore. Let's actually look at how we're bringing this to the world, because we are living in the contemporary world, and we can't fall behind when it comes to how we market it, in a way.
Yes, true.
Interesting. There's a lot of facets to this, isn't there? Carolina, one last question that I've been asking everyone at this conference. is, what would your advice be for clinicians to implement more of the F words into their everyday practice? Based on your experience now, what would you say that would be?
I would say in first place, as I said, to look at the context, the environment context of each family that we are involved in the treatment, in the programs, in our work, so that we could really put ourselves in their shoes and understand what is the challenge, what is the facilitators to implement, for example, not implement, but to work in which F word, in each domain. I would say that. And one thing that I really like in this, because this group that I am working in Germany, one supervisor is a sociologist and another one is a medical doctor. And I would say to bring more this discussion about financial, sociology, economics, and yes, how to bring the families to...
That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's brilliant. And that takes me back to Bernard Dunn. A few years ago, we spoke to him in the Bruges conference, and he said, when we think about multidisciplinary, we often think about, medical multidisciplinary, physio, OT, speech, we all work together. But his form of multidisciplinary was across our disciplines, across our professional boundaries. And sometimes that's where you get great answers if we can collaborate more. I love that.
Yes.
Look at the context. It's beautiful.
Also to sit, I think, for example, Italy, I would say that it's a reference for multidisciplinarity, because every Monday they have like a turno, a meeting that they sit together to discuss the patients that they will have during the week. And then on Friday they discuss together again, occupational therapist, speech therapist, what they will how they will support and work with this family. So I really appreciate that, to think personalized in each family.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to be personalised, we need to think bigger, think broad before we go into the person.
Especially in Brazil, because it's impossible to do rehabilitation without thinking about it.
That's right.
The context.
Well, you bring a wonderful lens and a viewpoint to all of this, Carolina. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this really important work that now has opened up the conversation into many different areas.
Thank you a lot. I am so happy with the opportunity. Also nervous because it's my first time.
You've done very well. Thank you.
It's amazing to speak about my work in this famous podcast. Yes, thank you.
It's wonderful to be able to highlight it. Thank you. And to all of our listeners, I hope you really enjoyed that. It's a really interesting perspective. We can offer our programs for families, but we need to think about the greater context. And somehow I managed to bring in there Netflix, watching movies, actors, and Mr. Beast. But, somehow they're all related, isn't it? Hope you enjoyed that. There's so much more to come. Stay tuned for more. Talk to you all again really soon. Bye.
Bye.